Sweet.
So hey, how do you like being an Apple representative?
It's pretty good. I got quite a good pay and a lot of benefits and perks come with it and stuff, so it's pretty good.
Hmm, cool. Well, hey, you know, I'm thinking about getting a laptop. What would you recommend?
Uh, I'd probably just go with a Dell. They're pretty good laptop.
Okay. So you wouldn't recommend an Apple?
Uh, no, probably not. They're a little bit expensive, but I'd probably just go with a Dell.
Okay. All right, I'll have to check that out. What about the iPhone, the Apple iPhone? I'm thinking about getting that. Would you recommend that?
Well, personally, I really like my Droid X, so
Hmm,
I'd probably go with the Droid X again.
okay. So
Yeah.
not the iPhone.
No, again, they're just too expensive.
You're an Apple representative?
So I probably wouldn't make a really good Apple representative if I recommend Dell and not the Apple iPhone. So anyway, see here's kind of the thing that I got out of reason I did that was just to show the thing of a lot of times we call ourselves Christians. There's a lot of people in this world that we say we're Christians, but we don't represent God. I mean, it's kind of like common sense, like seriously. If you say you're a Christian, you need to represent God. If you say you're an Apple representative, well, you should most likely represent Apple. And tell people about Apple and to really make Apple look good in the eyes of everybody that you are around. And see, that's the same thing with Christians. We need to make God look good wherever we are at any time and every moment in our life. See, like let's see, it was like a couple weeks ago. We had this guy in our church called Todd Neuschwander, and he was doing like a series on self and how to get rid of self and the monster of self and to glorify God instead. And he talked about the thing of we need to glorify God when in everything we do, even if we eat or drink. The Bible says even if we eat or drink, we need to glorify God. And I was thinking, it got my mind kind of rolling a little bit, and I was thinking about it, and I was like, how do you do that? Can you glorify God? Like, for example, if I'm eating somewhere, how do I glorify God? How do I make God look good? See, glorifying simply means to make God look good, to praise and worship Him and make Him look good. See, if I eat, I could, if I bless the food and pray for the food and praise God for the food before I eat, that's a way to glorify God, to make God look good, to be a representative for God. And then let's say I take a whole bunch of food and then I just eat it like really fast, like gluttonously, that's not going to glorify God. That doesn't make God look good. That doesn't represent God as me as a Christian, because see, as a Christian, we all have to represent God. And if I act like a glutton, I'm not making God look good, because I call myself a Christian, but I act like a glutton. That's not going to give God any glory whatsoever. And see, what really happens is a lot of time our selfish thoughts, our motives, what we want to do gets in the way of us glorifying God. Like any sin that we commit, it's usually, or it is always, because we want to make ourselves either feel good, look good, or just we want to have a good time, and we forget about putting God into the system, and we can still have a good time. We can still be in the most joyous place in our lives, but we need to do it to give God the glory. Like I gave this example one time, and when I had devotions, was I talked about this guy that was a preacher all his life, and he at the end of his life, when he was on his deathbed, that's when he got saved. And we look at that and we're like, well, how can that be? I mean, he did all these good things in his life. He was a preacher, for crying out loud. But here's the thing. He did all that because of himself, because he wanted to look good in the eyes of his congregation. Like he was really good at preaching, the thing of not making anybody feel like they're really doing anything wrong, but just, being nice and, just kind of going over the deep issues, like not really covering the deep issues because he himself had pretty deep issues, but he just preached to make people feel good about themselves. It was more of, a feel-good preacher than anything else. And even though he was a preacher, we would think, a preacher would certainly know how to glorify God, but it was all about himself. And as Christians, we as Christians, we're a lot of the times we're like a preacher like that. We do things, we do all these good things. We might spend time with God. We might, like the Pharisees did, they prayed in like street corners, made sure that people saw them when they prayed. And we kind of tend to do that same thing because we want to give ourselves glory. We want to do things for ourselves, make ourselves look good. I mean, man, I look good today. But we can't do that. We gotta do it in the way of making God look good. And that's what I started doing. I started in every situation that I'm in, I started asking myself the question, how can I glorify God in this situation? Like if I'm at church or something, I'll ask myself, okay, how can I glorify God the most when I'm here in church? Or if I'm around a group of people, how can I glorify God the most when I'm around this group of people? And one thing that comes up to me every time I ask that, as if I'm in a group of people, I realize that, I can go and bless people. I can speak life into people. I can share Christ with them, and that gives God the glory. That's what it's all about. So that's my challenge to you, is to, in this next week, try it out. Ask yourself, in every situation that you're in, ask yourself the question, how can I glorify God in this situation? And then it changes your attitude, it changes your mindset. And for me, it completely changed the way I thought about different situations. So try it out for yourself. That's my challenge. Try it out for yourself, and because that's really what life is all about. That's what it's all about, is to glorify God, make God look good. So my question is, what are some things that we do that doesn't really make God look good, but we kind of keep on doing it? Or what are some things that you do, or you see other people do? So just answer in the comment section below, and we'll see what you come up with.
Okay guys, so this is actually the 12th video, so it's the 12th WizLife goal, and I think this is probably the most powerful goal of them all, and that is to give God all the glory. Because if we do that in every situation, then we won't sin. We'll do everything that we do will be to make God look good, so sin is out of the question. And the verse that I have that goes along with that is 1 Corinthians 10:31. So whether you eat or drink or whatever you do it all for the glory of God. Now, doing every single thing for the glory of God is kind of an impossibility because we're human and we make mistakes, but that's the goal that each one of us wants to reach. And so don't get discouraged if you can't do everything for the glory of God, but stand up and be strong and try to do everything for the glory of God. Strive to do everything for the glory of God. Like I told you that I ask myself all the time, try to ask myself all the time, in every situation, how can I give God the glory right here? How can I make God look good in every situation? But I do need to tell you this, that there's a lot of times I don't ask that question, and I wish I would ask that question in every situation. And that's something I'm trying to work on. So you can pray for me for that. And also, while I'm talking about praying for me, this is actually Monday night right now when I'm doing this part of the episode, and tomorrow morning at 7 o'clock, I'm going to be leaving to go down to Florida for a prison crusade. It's the Gospel Express prison crusade, and we will be going into the prisons and we're going to be sharing God with people. And I need your prayers for that. If you're watching this video on Wednesday when it comes out, and then could you please, I just want to ask you, could you please give me a prayer? Give God a prayer. Pray to God for where I'm at, and just pray for me. And just in every situation, try to ask yourself the question, how can I give God the glory?
Okay, now's the part of the show where we share with you a biblical joke of the week, and I'm sure it's probably still going to be lame.
Okay, guys, I got a confession to make. This isn't a biblical joke, it's a biblical quote. And it's from a friend of mine, Brandon Coublins, who's down in Mexico right now and at an orphanage, working at an orphanage. And he gave me a couple quotes, so I'm just going to say one of them right now. Here's how it goes. There is little difference in people, but that little difference makes a big difference. The little difference is attitude. The big difference is whether it is positive or negative. And that is actually a quote from Clement Stone on Laughing Matters.
I need you to submit your favorite biblical joke so that I can have it on the show. You can either contact me through the wizife.com website, or you can create a video response to this video on YouTube.
This has been the Wizife Show. My name is Justin Miller, and I approve this message. And I'm out.
In the path that I must take, I'm willing to do it all, Father, for your sake.